Welcome everyone to this tutorial on the Gradle build tool here. In this one we are going to talk about what exactly is a Gradle build tool and how we can use it. And in this one we will be also working on some demos and some hands-on to understand that how we can make use of Gradle for performing the build activity. So let's begin with the first understanding that what exactly is Gradle all about. Now Gradle is a kind of a build tool which can be used for the build automation performance, and it can be used for various programming languages. Primarily it's being used for the Java based applications. It's a kind of build tool which can help you to see that how exactly automatically you can prepare the builds, you can perform the automations. Earlier we used to do the build activity from the Eclipse, and we used to do it manually, right? But with the help of this build tool we are going to do it like automatically without any manual efforts as such here. There are like a lot of activities which we will be doing during the build process. Primarily there are different activities like compilations, linkage, packaging. These are the different tasks which we perform during the build process, so that we can understand that how the build can be done and we can perform the automations. This process also, it's kind of standardized, because again if you want to automate something, standards or a standard process is something which we require for that before being going ahead with that part. So that's the reason why we are getting this build tool, because this build tool helps us to do a standardization process to see that how the standards can be met and how we can proceed further with that part. Also, it's something which can be used for a variety of languages, programming languages. Java is the primary language for which we use the Gradle, but again other languages like Scala, Android, C++, Groovy, these are some of the languages for which we can use the same tool. Now it's actually using, like, it's referring to as a Groovy based domain specific language rather than XML, because Ant and Maven, these are the XML based build tools, but this one is not that dependent on XML. It's using the Groovy based domain specific language. DSL language is being used here. Right now, again, it's something which can be used to do the build. It can further on be used to perform the test cases automations also there, and then further on you can deploy to the Artifactory also, that okay, I want to push the artifacts to the Artifactory, so that part also you can get it done over here. So primarily this tool is known for doing the build automations for the big and large projects, the projects in which the source code, the amount of source code and the efforts is more. So in that case this particular tool makes sense. Now Gradle includes both the pros of Maven and Ant, but it removes the drawbacks or whatever the issues which we face during these two build tools. So it's helping us to remove all the cons which we face during the implementation of Ant and Maven, and again all the pros of Ant and Maven is implemented with this Gradle tool. Now let's see that why exactly this Gradle is used, because that's a very valid question, that what is the activity, like what is the reason why we use the Gradle. Because the first one is that it resolves issues faced on other build tools. That's a primary reason, because we are already having the tools like Maven and Ant which is available there, but primarily this Gradle tool is something which is removing all the issues which we are facing with the implementation of other tools. So these issues are getting removed as such. Second one is that it focuses on maintainability, performance and flexibility. So it's giving the focus on that how exactly we can manage the big large projects, and we can have flexibility that what different kind of projects I want to build. Today I want to build in different ways, tomorrow the source code modifies, gets added up, so I have the flexibility that I can change this build scripts, I can perform the automations. So a lot of flexibility is available which is being supported by this tool. And then the last one is like it provides a lot of features, a lot of plugins. Now this is one of the benefit which we get in the case of Maven also, that we get a lot of features. But again when we talk about Gradle, then it provides a lot of plugins. Like let's say that normally in a build process we do the compilation of the source code, but sometimes let's say that we want to build an Angular or a Node.js application. Now in that case we may be involved in running some command line executions, some command line commands, just to make sure that yes, we are running the commands and we are getting the output. So there are a lot of features which we can use, like there are a lot of plugins which is available there, and we will be using those plugins in order to go ahead and in order to execute those build process and doing the automations. Now let's talk about the Gradle and Maven, because again when we talk about Maven, like it was like something which was primarily used for the Java, but again when we are talking about Gradle, so again it's just being used primarily for the Java here. But what is the reason that we prefer Gradle over the Maven? So what are the different reason for that? Let's talk about that part, because this is very important. We need to understand that what is the reason that Gradle is preferred as a better tool for the Java as compared to Maven when we talk about for the build automation here. Now the first one is that the Gradle using the Groovy DSL language, domain specific language, whereas the Maven is considered as a project management tool, which is creating the POMs or XML format files. So it's being used for the Java project, but XML format is being used here. And on the other hand, Gradle is something which is not using the XML formats, and whatever the build scripts you're creating, that is something which is there in the Groovy based DSL language. And on the other hand, in the POM, we have to create the XMLs, dependencies, whatever the attributes you are putting up in the Maven, that's something which is available there in the format of XML. The overall goal of the Gradle is to add functionality to a project, whereas the goal of the Maven is to to complete a project phase, like to work on different project phase, like compilation, test executions, then packaging, so then deploying to Artifactory. So these are all different phases which is available there into the Maven. But on the other hand, Gradle is all about adding the functionality, that how you want to have some particular features added up into the build scripts. In Gradle, there are, like, we usually specify that what are the different tasks we want to manage. So different tasks we can add it up into the case of Gradle, and we can override those tasks also. In case of Maven, it's all about the different phases which is being happening over here, and it's in sequence manner. So these phases happens in the sequence order, that how exactly you can build up the sequence there. But in case of Gradle, you can have your own tasks, custom tasks also, and you can disrupt the sequence, and you can see that how the different steps can be executed in a different order. So Maven is something which is a phase mechanism there, but Gradle is something which is according to the features or the flexibilities. Now Gradle works on the tasks, whatever the task you want to perform, it works directly on those tasks there. On the other hand, Maven is something does not have any kind of inbuilt cache, so every time you are running the build, so separate things or the plugins and all this information gets loaded up, which takes definitely a lot of time. On the other hand, Gradle is something which is using its own internal cache, so that it can make the builds a little bit faster, because it's not something which is doing the things from the scratch. Whatever the things is already being available in the cache, so it's just pick that part, and from there it will proceed further on the build automation. And that's the reason why Gradle performance is much faster as compared to Maven, because it uses some kind of a cache in there, and then helps to improve the overall performance. Now let's talk about the Gradle installation, because this is a very important aspect to be done, because when we are doing the installation, we have to download the Gradle executables, right? So let's see that what are the different steps is involved in the process of the Gradle installation. So when we talk about the Gradle installation, so there are primarily 4 steps which is available. The very first one is that you have to check if the Java is installed. Now if the Java is not installed, so you can go to the OpenJDK or you can go for the Oracle Java, so you can do the installation of the JDK on your system. So JDK 8 is something you can most commonly use nowadays, so you can install that. Once the Java is downloaded and installed, then you have to do the Gradle download Gradle there. Now once the Gradle binaries are executable or the zip file gets downloaded, so you can add the environment variables, and then you can validate if the Gradle installation is working fine as expected or not. So we will be doing the Gradle installation into our local systems and into the Windows platform, and we'll see that how exactly we can go for the installation of Gradle, and we'll see that what are the different versions we are going to install here. So let's go back to the system and see that how we can go for the Gradle installation. So this is the website of the JDK of Java, Oracle Java. Now here you have different JDK, so from there you can do whatever the option you want to select, you can go with that. So JDK 8 is something which is most commonly used nowadays, like it's most comfortable or compatible version which is available. So in case you want to see that if the JDK is installed into your system, all you have to do is that you have to just say like Java -version, and that will give you the output that whether the Java is installed into your system or not. So in case my system the Java is installed, but if you really want to do the installation, you have to download the JDK installer from this website, from this Oracle website, and then you can proceed further on that part. Now once the JDK is installed, so you have to go for the Gradle installation, because Gradle is something which will be performing the build automations and all that stuff. So you have to download the binaries, like the zip file probably, in which we have the executables and all, and then we have to have some particular environment variables configured so that we will be able to have the system modified over there. So right now we have got like the prerequisites as in Java version installed. Now the next thing is that we have to install or download the executables. So in order to download the latest Gradle distribution, so you have to click on this one. Right now over here there are different options, like you want to go for 6.7. now it's having like binary onlys or complete. We'll go for the binary onlys because we don't want to have the source, we just want the binaries and the executables. Now it's getting downloaded, it's around close to 100 MB of the installer which is there. Now we have to just extract into a directory, and then the same path we need to configure into the environment variable, so that in that way we will be able to see that how the Gradle executables will be running, and it will give the complete output to us over here in this case. So it may take some time, and once the particular modifications and the download is done, then we have to extract it, and once the extraction is done, so we will be able to go back and have some particular version or have the configurations established over there. So let's just wait for some time, and then we will be continuing with the environment variables like this one. So once the installation and the extraction is done, now we just have to go to the downloads where this one is downloaded. We have to extract it. Now extraction is required so that we can have the setup, like we can set up this path into our environment variables, and once the path is configured and established, we will be able to start further on that part and on the execution. So meanwhile these files are getting extracted. Let's see. So we already got the folder structure over here, and we will see like we will give this path here. There is two environment variables we have to configure. One is the Gradle underscore home, and one is the in the path variable. So we'll copy this path here. So meanwhile this is getting extracted, we can save our time and we can go to the environment variable. So we can right click on this one, properties. In there we have to go for the advanced systems settings, then environment variables. Now here we have to give it like Gradle underscore home. Now in this one we will not be giving it till the bin directory, so that only needs to be there where the Gradle is extracted. So we'll say okay, and then we have to go for the path variable where we will be adding up a new entry. In this one we will be putting up till the bin directory here, because the Gradle executable should be there when I'm running the Gradle command. So these two variables I have to configure, then okay, and okay. So this one is done. So now you have to just open the command prompt and see that whether the execution or the commands which you're running is completely successful or not. So meanwhile it's extracting all the executables and all those things. It will help us to understand that how the whole build process or how the build tools can be integrated over there. Now once the extraction is done, so you have to run like cmd Java version to check the version of the Java, and then the Gradle underscore version is what you're going to see, check the version of the Gradle which is installed, and now you can see that it says that 6.7 version is being installed over here in this case. So that's the way that how we are going to have the Gradle installation performed into our particular system. So let's go back to the content. Let's talk about the Gradle core concepts here. Now in this one we are going to talk about what are the different core concepts of Gradle are all about. The very first one is the projects here. Now a project represents an item to be performed over here, to be done, like deploying an application to a staging environment, performing some build. So Gradle is something which is required, the projects, the Gradle project which you prepare is not having multiple tasks which is available there, which is configured, and all these tasks, all these different tasks needs to be executed into a sequence. Now sequence is again is a very important part, because again if the sequence is not meant properly, then the execution will not be done in a proper order. So that's the very important aspect here. Tasks is the one in which is a kind of an entity in which we will be performing a series of steps. These tasks may be like compilation of a source code, preparing a jar file, preparing a web application archive file, or a ER file. Also we can have like in some tasks we can even publish our artifacts to the artifact tree so that we can store those artifacts into a shared location. So there are different ways in which we can have this particular tasks executed. Now build scripts is the one in which we will be storing all this information. What are the dependencies, what are the different tasks we want to refer. It's all going to be present in the build.gradle file there. Build.gradle file will be having the information related to what are the different dependencies you want to download and you want to store there. So all these things will be a part of the build scripts. Now let's talk about the features of Gradle. What are the different features which we can use in case of Gradle here? There are different type of features which is available there. So let's talk about them one by one. So the very first one over here is the high performance. Then high performance is something which we can see that we already discussed that in case you are using a large projects, so Gradle is something which is in better approach as compared to Maven because of the high performance which we are getting. It uses an internal cache which makes sure that you are using, like, you are doing the builds faster, and that can give you a higher performance over there. Second one is the support. It provides the support. So it, yes, definitely provides a lot of support on how you can perform the builds, and it's being a latest tool which is available there. So the support is also quite good in terms of how you want to prepare the build, how you want to download the plugins, different plugin supports, and the dependencies information also there. Next one is multi-project build software. So using this one you can have multiple projects. In case in your repository you have multiple projects here, so all of them can be easily built up with the help of this particular tool. So it supports multiple projects to be built up using the same Gradle project and Gradle scripts. So that support is also available with this Gradle build tool. Incremental builds are also something which you can do with the help of Gradle. So if you have done only the incremental changes and you want to perform only the incremental build, so that can also be possible with the help of a Gradle here. The build scans, so we can also perform the build scans. So we can use some integrations with SonarQube and all, where we can have the scans done to the source code on understand on how the build happens or how the source code really happens on there. So that code scan or the build scans can also be performed with this one. And then it's a familiarity with Java. So for Java, it's something which is considered as an by default. Not even Java, in fact Android, which is also using the Java programming language, is using the particular Gradle over here, so that the build can be done and it can gain benefits out of that. So in all the manners, in all the different ways, it's basically helping us to see that how we can make sure that this tool can help us in providing a lot of features, and that can help us to make a reliable build tool for our Java based projects or any other programming based project here. Right, now let's see that how we can onboard a Java project with the Gradle here, and for that we have to go back, and Gradle is something which is already installed. We just have to create a directory where we can have like how we can perform some executions, we can prepare some build scripts, and we can have a particular execution of a Gradle build happened over there. So let's go back to the machine. Okay, so we are going to open the terminal here and we'll see that how we can create it. So first of all, I have to create a directory structure. Let's say that we'll say like Gradle -project. Now once the project is created, so we can go inside this directory. So to create some Gradle related projects and preparing the files. Now in this one, let's first create a particular one. So we will be saying like vi build.gradle. So in this one we are going to put like two plugins we are going to use. So we are going to say like apply plugin Java, and then we are going to say like apply plugin application. So these two plugins we are going to use, and when we got this file over here in this one, so it shows like build.gradle, which is available there in this case. So two these files are available. Now if you want to learn like what are the different tasks, so you can run like Gradle tasks command over there. So Gradle task will help you know that what are the different tasks which is available over here by processing the build scripts and all. So this will definitely help you to understand on giving you the output. So here all the different tasks are being given, and it will help you to understand that what are the different tasks you can configure and you can work over here, just like jar files, clean and all that stuff, build, compile, then init is there, then all these different executions, assemble, then Java doc, then build, then check, test, all these different tasks are there. And if you really want to run the Gradle build, so you can run like Gradle clean to perform the clean activity, because right now you are doing like if a build, so before that you can have a clean, and then you can run a specific command, or you can run like Gradle clean build, which will perform the cleanup also, and it will at the same time will have the build process also performed over there. So build and cleanup both will be executed over here. And what is the status, whether it's a success or it's a failure, that will be given back to you. Now in this case, in the previous one, if you see that when you ran the Gradle clean, it was only running one task. But when you go for the build process, when you run the Gradle clean build, it's going to give you a much more information. In fact, you can also give me further information, like you can have the -info flag also there, so that if you want to get the details about the different tasks which is being executed over here, so that also you're going to get over here in this one. So you just have to put like -info, and then all these steps will be given back to you, that how these tasks will be executed and the response will be there. So that's a way that how you can create a pretty much simple straightforward project in form of Gradle, which can definitely help you to run some couple of Gradle commands, and then you can understand that what are the basic commands you can run and how the configurations really works on there, right? Let's go back to the main content. Right, now let's move on to the next one. So in the next one, we are going to see that how we can prepare a Gradle build project in case of Eclipse. Now we are not using the local system. We are not directly creating the folders and the files here. We are actually using the Eclipse for creating a new Gradle project over here. So let's move on that part. Okay, so now the Eclipse is open, and I have opened in this one. The very first thing is that we have to do the Gradle plugin installation so that we can create new projects on Gradle, and then we have to configure the path, that how the Gradle plugin can be configured on the preferences and all that stuff, and then we will be doing the build process. So the very first thing is that we have to go to the Eclipse marketplace. In there we have to search for Gradle. So once the search is done, it will show us the plugins related to Gradle. So we have to go for build ship Gradle integration. So we'll click on the install. It will proceed with installation. It will download it. In some cases, maybe it's part of the Eclipse as in the ID. So you can go to the installed tab and you can see that also, that if this plugin is already installed or not. But in this case, we are installing it. And once the installation is done, we just have to restart the specific ones. We have to restart this Eclipse so that the changes can be reflected. So it's downloading. It's downloading the Gradle here, and once that is installed, we will be able to use it over here in this case, in this scenario. So we have to just wait for that part. So still downloading the jar files. So once the jar file is done, it's now over the areas and downloaded. So after that, we will be able to proceed further on that download aspect. So it's going to take some time to download it, and once it's done, we will be able to proceed further. Now once the progress is done, so it's asking us for the restart now. So before that, we just have to click on restart now, and then the Eclipse will be restarted altogether again here. So you can do it manually, or you can go for that options. It just require a restart so that the new changes can be reflected over here. So the plugins can be activated and can be referenced here. Now we have to just put up like the the configuration where we can have the system. So we can go for the Gradle configuration. So we can go for Windows and then preferences. Now in this case, we have to go for the ones in which the Gradle option is available there. So Gradle is what we are going to select. Now user home, the Gradle user home is what we need to use, right? So you want to go for the Gradle, you want to go for local installation. So all these options you can use. You can, if you go for the Gradle wrapper, then it will be downloading the Gradle locally, and it is going to use the Gradle W or gradlew.bat file. But if you already have an installation locally, so you can prefer that also, right? Now in the previous demo, we have already got the Gradle extracted, so we just have to go for the downloads. In the downloads, already Gradle is available, so we are going to select that part here. So this is what we are going to select, right? So this represents that this is the directory structure in which we are having the mechanism. So you can either go for the build scan, so you can select the build scan also. So once this is enabled, then all the projects will be scanned and will be published, and it's in kind of additional option which is available. If you really want to disable it, you can disable it also, and you can go with this configuration also. So this is where the particular Gradle folder is being put over here in this case, and then we have to just click on apply, and we just have to click on apply and close. So with this one, the particular execution is done. Now we will be going for the project creation, so you can right click over here, or you can go to the file also. So here we are going to go for the project, and in this we are going to have a Gradle project. So Gradle project is what we are going to create here. And next, so we are going to say like Gradle project, and then next. So once that is done, so finish. So with this one, when you create the project, so what will happen that automatically there will be a folder structure will be available there, right? And there are some Gradle scripts which will also be created there. So we will be doing the modifications to there, and we'll see that how the particular Gradle build script looks like, and how we will be adding some couple of Selenium related dependencies, and we'll see that how we can have more and more dependencies added, and what will be the impact of those dependencies on the overall project. So that also it's very important aspect to be considered. So let this processing be happen over there. It's just creating, and some plugins and binaries are getting installed and getting downloaded. So we'll see that once the project is imported, completely executed over here and got created, we can extract that. Now if you see here, the particular option is available about the Gradle tasks, so you can extract it also, and you will be able to know that what are the different tasks which is available there. Let's see that in the build they are running like build. These are the different tasks which is happening inside the build process. So Gradle executions will be also available over here in this case, and Gradle tasks will be different. It will be represented over here in this one. So you just have to extract on the Gradle build project. Okay, so this is the library which is available. Now what happens that you will be able to have like settings.gradle. In this one you will be able to have like, okay, Gradle -project is something which is available there in this one, so that's what I'm being referring. Then we have over here as in these folder structures which is created like source, main, Java. This is the one. Source, test, Java is the one which is available as in the folder structure, and source, test, resources are also available here. So the main source, main, resources are also available. Now in this case, what happens that these are the dependencies, project and external, these are the different dependencies are available there. So let's see, let's add a dependency over here in this one in the build.gradle script, and see that how we can do that. If we open build.gradle file, so you can see that these dependencies are there, like test implementation, JUnit is available there, right? And then we have a implementations of this one which is available. Now these jar files when you put up, it will automatically be added up as in part of this one, as in part of the particular dependencies over here, and which means that you don't have to store them as in within the repository, and automatically they can be happened over there. So let's open a dependency page. So we will be going to Maven repository, where we will be opening a dependency link. So this is the dependency link here. So Selenium-Java is available, and it can give you the dependency for all the different options. Now we have for Maven, this is the one, and for Gradle, this is the one here. So we have to just copy this one, and we have to use it as a dependency. So this is the group, and this is the name and the version which we are using here. Now we have copied this one, so we will go back to the Eclipse. So here we have to just put that dependency, and we have to just save it. So this is something which is providing like Selenium dependencies which is available. So now we have to just refresh the project. So right click over here, then you will be able to see the options in the Gradle saying that refresh Gradle project. Now once the moment you do that, so you will be able to do like for the first time, maybe it will take some time to download all the dependencies which is related to Selenium, but after that you will be able to see like the dependencies will be simply added up over here in this case. So you can see that all the Selenium related dependencies are added up. For any reason, if you comment these ones and you say like synchronize again, so you will see that all the dependencies which you are adding up from this Selenium from the Selenium perspective will be gone back again. So this is the way that how you can keep on adding the dependencies which is required for preparing your build for your source code, and from there you will be able to proceed further on the execution part. So that's the best part about this Gradle here. So that's a way that how we are going to prepare a Gradle project within the Eclipse, and now you can keep on adding like the source code in this one, and that's the way that how the code base will be added up over here. right? So that's the way that how the particular executions or this Gradle project is being prepared in case of Eclipse. So that's it for this whole module, in which we understood that how the Gradle really works on, and we saw some hands-on projects also to clearly get an idea about what is in Gradle build tool all about and how we can perform the various automations on this part. So that's it for this one. Thanks.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.